They say behind every successful man is a woman. Well, sometimes she's right next to him, counting her billions, while we count what's left before payday. Mackenzie Scott turned heartbreak into billions. Abigail Johnson manages more money before lunch than you'll see in a lifetime. Julia Koch inherited enough billions to make trust fund babies jealous. And Savitri Jindal runs an empire so massive that your 9 to 5 feels like a lemonade stand. Ready to feel broke? Let's dive into the wealthiest wives in the world. Françoise Bettencourt Myers, $75 billion. Françoise Bettencourt Myers, wife of Jean-Pierre Myers and granddaughter of Eugene Schuella, isn't just married to money, she is money. She is a billionaire heiress to the L'Oreal throne and possessor of a net worth that dances around the $100 billion mark. That's not just monopoly money, that's buying a small country and renaming it after your favorite shade of lipstick kind of money. Her 33% stake in L'Oreal generates enough dividend income to make a Swiss banker sweat with envy. Born in 1953, Françoise didn't just inherit wealth. She inherited a legacy of chemical innovation thanks to Grandpa Eugene Schuella and boardroom battles thanks to, well, being part of the Bettencourt dynasty. She's authored books, proving she's as comfortable discussing biblical commentary as she is discussing the stock price of L'Oreal. Of course, dynastic wealth rarely comes drama-free, and the Bettencourt family feuds could put a primetime soap opera to shame. At the center of it all, the infamous legal battles involving François-Marie Bagné, a €1.3 billion scandal that revolved around cash, art, and insurance policies. That's billion with a B, the kind of money you don't just misplace under a couch cushion. Following her mother's passing in 2017, Françoise's coffers swelled. But it wasn't just passive inheritance. Smart investments and L'Oreal's robust performance fueled the surge. In 2023, L'Oreal's revenue hit €41 billion, proving that people will always pay for the promise of eternal youth, or at least fewer wrinkles. But she's not just hoarding wealth, she's making headlines for giving it away. The $226 million pledged to Notre Dame was a statement, yes, I'm richer than Croesus, and yes, I care about preserving cultural heritage. That's enough to rebuild the cathedral in gold leaf and still have spare change for a decent bottle of Bordeaux. Françoise Bettencourt Myers isn't just a name on the Forbes list. She's a powerhouse, a board member steering a global empire, a major shareholder raking in dividends that could fund a small nation, and a philanthropist with the means to make a real difference, or at least generate some good PR. So next time you reach for that L'Oreal mascara, remember you're contributing to the fortune of a woman who could probably buy and sell your entire life 1,000 times over. But hey, at least you'll have fabulous lashes while you're doing it, because as L'Oreal says, you're worth it. Even if it is just a tiny fraction of Françoise's billions. While Françoise Bettencourt Myers built her fortune on beauty and luxury, the next wife on our list has wealth flowing from oil, chemicals, and one of America's largest private companies. Julia Koch, $74 billion. Julia Koch, widow of the late industrialist David Koch, proves that inheriting a fortune is a job too, and one she does with a net worth hovering around $74 billion. This places her among the wealthiest women globally, a financial stratosphere where the air is thin and the shopping sprees are legendary. Born Julia Flesher on April 12, 1962, in Indianola, Iowa, she's not just a socialite, she's a former model with a Bachelor of Arts Science from the University of Central Arkansas. Before inheriting a 42% stake in Koch Industries, she worked for fashion designer Adolfo, even fitting clothes for Nancy Reagan. Talk about a glow-up. Julia met David on a blind date in 1991, marrying him 5 years later. It's a classic tale. Iowa girl makes it big in NYC, marries a billionaire, and inherits an empire. They have 3 children. Koch Industries, the source of her immense wealth, is the second largest privately held company in the U.S., with interests spanning energy, chemicals, and manufacturing. It's the kind of diversified portfolio that makes financial advisors drool and environmental activists shudder. Since David's death in 2019, Julia has taken on a more prominent role in philanthropy, serving as president of the David H. Koch Foundation. The foundation channels funds into health, education, and the arts. It's a noble pursuit, proving that even billionaires have a soft spot for things that can't be bought directly. Her estimated net worth in Forbes' February 2025 ranking was over $74 billion. While numbers fluctuate, her position as one of the wealthiest women in the world is secure. In April 2023, Forbes ranked her as the second richest woman in the world, with an estimated fortune of $59 billion. Julia Koch is a force in philanthropy and high society. From fitting dresses for a lady to managing a multi-billion-dollar fortune, she's had a trajectory that would make Cinderella jealous. While Julia Koch built her legacy through industry and philanthropy, Jacqueline Mars proves that sometimes the sweetest fortunes come wrapped in chocolate and caramel. Jacqueline Mars, $42.5 billion. Jacqueline Mars, while not currently a wife because she's been divorced twice, proves that you don't need a husband to build a candy empire, though being born into one certainly helps. As heiress to the Mars Inc. fortune, she's sitting pretty with a real-time net worth of $42.4 billion. That's enough to buy approximately 84.8 billion Snickers bars, though we doubt even she could eat that many. Born October 10, 1939, Jacqueline is the granddaughter of Frank C. Mars, who started it all with some buttercream candies. One can only imagine the sugar rushes at family gatherings. She graduated from Bryn Mawr College with a degree in anthropology, which probably comes in handy when trying to understand the primal urges that drive people to consume mass quantities of chocolate. Jacqueline joined Mars, Inc. in 1982 as Food Product Group President, a role that likely involved a lot of taste testing and strategic decisions about the perfect peanut-to-chocolate ratio. She retired in 2001, presumably to dedicate more time to philanthropic pursuits and equestrian activities, because when you're that rich, you need hobbies that are both meaningful and involve horses. While the Mars family is famously private, Jacqueline has stepped into the spotlight for philanthropic endeavors, supporting institutions like the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. It's a noble pursuit, proving that even candy heiresses have a soft spot for things that aren't made of sugar. Though we suspect she still sneaks a Snickers bar every now and then. Her estimated net worth fluctuates depending on which index you consult. Bloomberg Billionaires Index estimated her net worth at $46.6 billion as of November 2023, while Forbes estimated her fortune at $38.3 billion in its 2023 ranking of the richest women. Either way, she's in the top echelon of the world's wealthiest individuals. As of February 12, 2025, Forbes estimates her real-time net worth at $42.4 billion. Jacqueline Mars is a force in business, world-acquired philanthropist, and a reminder that sometimes the sweetest things in life come with a multi-billion-dollar inheritance. And while the rest of us are stuck paying extra for that fun-sized Snickers, she's probably got a lifetime supply in her mansion, alongside a stable full of horses and a very good dental plan. While Jacqueline Mars built an empire on candy, the next is making waves by giving their fortune away faster than they earned it. Mackenzie Scott, $42.1 billion. Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of Amazon's Jeff Bezos, proves that sometimes the best way to become one of the richest women in the world is to marry a guy who sells everything from books to blenders, then amicably and lucratively divorce him. With a net worth that once hovered around $40 billion, now closer to $30 billion after some Amazon share sales, Scott has taken the lemons of divorce and made philanthropic lemonade on a scale that would make even the most seasoned philanthropist raise an eyebrow. Born Mackenzie Tuttle on April 7, 1970 in San Francisco, she's not just a billionaire, she's a novelist with a degree in English from Princeton University. She even worked alongside Bezos at D.E. Shaw, a hedge fund, where she was reportedly the one he tasked to conduct her interview in the initial rounds before they embarked on their Amazon adventure. It's a meet-cute that screams corporate synergy. In 1993, the couple married and quit their jobs to start Amazon. After 25 years of marriage, 3 sons and an adopted daughter from China, Jeff and Mackenzie announced their split in January 2019. The detail that stands out is that they didn't sign a premarital agreement, and the logic is simple. Amazon hadn't come into existence when they tied the knot. The divorce settlement was the stuff of legends. Scott walked away with roughly $38.3 billion in Amazon stock, which amounted to a 4% stake in the company. That's enough to make anyone's conscious uncoupling feel like a financial windfall. After parting ways with Jeff Bezos, Mackenzie Scott fell in love with a science teacher named Dan Jewett, and they got married in March 2021. It was shocking for everyone to see Mackenzie tying the knot with a science teacher who used to teach children at Seattle's Lakeside School. Unfortunately, after being together for a year, it was in September 2022 when Mackenzie filed for divorce, and in January 2023 she parted ways with Dan Jewett. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Scott has committed to giving away the majority of her wealth to charitable causes. Through her organization Yield Giving, she has donated billions to various organizations. Mackenzie Scott is proving that sometimes the best revenge is living well and giving generously. She's rewriting the narrative of the divorced billionaire, one donation at a time. And while Elon Musk might have taken a jab at her philanthropic endeavors, Scott seems unfazed, continuing her mission to give away her fortune with the kind of zeal that makes the rest of us feel woefully inadequate. Moving forward, we have a billionaire who proves you don't need a husband to build an empire. Abigail Johnson, $39.8 billion. Abigail Johnson proves that you don't need a husband to command a fortune that would make Croesus himself blush. She is married to Christopher J. McCown, co-founder and president of a healthcare information company. As the chairperson and CEO of Fidelity Investments, she's calling the shots on a $39.8 billion empire. Born on December 19, 1961, Abigail inherited good genes and a knack for finance. Her grandfather founded Fidelity Management and Research, so you could say she was born with a silver stock certificate in her mouth. She earned a bachelor's degree in art history because even billionaires need to appreciate a good Rembrandt. She then wisely got an MBA from Harvard Business School. Johnson started at Fidelity in the 1980s, working her way up from customer service. It's comforting to know that even the ultra-rich have to deal with angry customers at some point, though we suspect her complaints were a bit more nuanced. By 2014, she descended to the CEO spot, taking over from her father. In 2016, she became chairman, giving her full control of Fidelity and its 45,000 employees. Her main source of income comes from Fidelity Investments. The Johnson family owns 49% of the company. Abigail has also brought Fidelity into the cryptocurrency game, enabling institutional investors to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. Abigail Johnson shows that sometimes the best way to build a fortune is to inherit a good head for business and a family legacy that's already worth billions. And while the rest of us are struggling to balance our checkbooks, she's probably figuring out how to spend her next billion, all while married and with 2 children. While Abigail Johnson is shaping a financial empire, the next story shows how a woman built her fortune, with a mix of inheritance and business savvy. Savitri Jindal, $34.3 billion. Savitri Jindal, widow of the late O.P. Jindal and chairperson emeritus of the O.P. Jindal Group, proves that sometimes the best way to climb the Forbes list is through a combination of inheritance, shrewd business acumen, and perhaps a little bit of steel considering the family's core industry. As India's wealthiest woman, she commands a net worth of $34.3 billion, a figure that could make even the most seasoned Maharajas clutch their pearls. Born on March 20, 1950, in Tinsukia, Assam, Jindal wasn't always destined for the Forbes 50. She married O.P. Jindal in the 1970s, and while he built the Jindal Group into a steel and power conglomerate, she was busy raising a family and presumably learning the ins and outs of the business world. She eventually became the chairperson of the group after her husband's untimely death in a helicopter crash in 2005, a leadership transition that would make for a dramatic Bollywood script. The Jindal Group is a diversified conglomerate with interests in steel, power, cement, and infrastructure. It's the kind of portfolio that makes financial analysts drool and environmentalists, well, perhaps not. The group's companies were divided among her 4 sons, each managing a distinct segment, proving that even billionaire families have to figure out sibling dynamics when dividing the spoils. Jindal has also dabbled in politics, serving as a minister in the Haryana government and a member of the Haryana Vidhan Sabha. She even lost her seat in the 2014 elections, a humbling experience that proves even billionaires aren't immune to the whims of the electorate. While she may be the richest woman in India, Jindal also shares the global spotlight with other female financial titans like L'Oreal heiress Françoise Bettencourt-Myers and Walmart's Alice Walton. It's the kind of company that makes you wonder what their book club discussions are like. So whether she's navigating the complexities of the steel industry or maneuvering the treacherous waters of Indian politics, Savitri Jindal is a force to be reckoned with. She is also the president of Maharaja Agrasen Medical College, Agroa. She proves that even after inheriting a vast fortune, there's still plenty of room for ambition, influence, and perhaps just a little bit of well-deserved recognition. While Savitri Jindal is building her legacy, Miriam Adelson is keeping her late husband's empire and fortune thriving. Miriam Adelson, $32 billion. Miriam Adelson, widow of the late casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, proves that behind every great fortune, there's a woman who inherited it and probably knows how to count cards better than most of us. As the wealthiest Israeli in the world, Miriam commands a cool $32 billion, a figure so large it could make even the most seasoned high roller question their life choices. Born Miriam Farbstein in 1945, in what was then mandatory Palestine to Holocaust survivor parents, she's not your average housewife of Las Vegas type. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Microbiology and Genetics from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and a medical degree from Tel Aviv University's Sackler Medical School. Before becoming a casino queen, she was a chief internist in an emergency room at Tel Aviv's Rokoch Hospital. Talk about a career change from saving lives to counting chips. Miriam met Sheldon in 1989 at Rockefeller University while she was specializing in drug addiction. Apparently, even billionaires need love, or at least someone to share their gambling empire with and maybe offer some medical advice after a particularly rough night at the tables. They married in 1991. The Adelsons were major players in Republican politics, donating sums that could make a seasoned lobbyist blush. Miriam served as a finance vice chair for Donald Trump's inauguration. They donated $75 million to Trump's failed re-election bid, which is either a testament to their political convictions or the most expensive lost bet in history. Trump awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, proving that even presidents appreciate a generous donor, especially one who might need a casino built on Mars someday. After Sheldon died in 2021, Miriam took the reins of his empire, becoming the majority shareholder of Las Vegas Sands. She also owns the Israel Hayom newspaper, and with her family the Las Vegas Review-Journal, because what's a fortune without a little media influence? It's like owning all the hotels in and then buying the newspaper to write glowing reviews. She is also the majority owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team with her son-in-law, Patrick Dumont. Miriam Adelson isn't just sitting on her billions. Through the Adelson Foundation, she and Sheldon contributed hundreds of millions to Jewish and Israeli causes, because when you're that rich, you can afford to be philanthropic, or at least improve your public image. The Adelsons have collected approximately $10 billion in Sands dividends, and even staved off bankruptcy for the company in 2008 by contributing $1 billion. So whether she's saving souls from addiction or influencing presidential elections, Miriam Adelson is a force to be reckoned with. She proves that money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a lot of other things, including political influence, media empires, the Dallas Mavericks, and maybe even a slightly better chance of winning at blackjack.
While Miriam Adelson continues to shape her empire, next we have Iris Fontbona, who turned a strong marriage into a powerful dynasty.